Hi, I'm attorney Caren Schindel. I have an office in South Natick, and I'm here to give you some ideas about what different things you should be thinking about if you're considering filing for divorce or if your spouse has filed for divorce.
Caren, you've said that choosing the right attorney is your number one tip when going through a divorce. Will you tell us more about that?
Sure, I'd be glad to. The first thing you want to remember is that you want to make sure to get an attorney who really does have experience doing divorce and custody cases and has experience practicing in the probate courts. There are many attorneys who will say that they could do your divorce and they might be willing to do it for you, but you need to ask them, how many cases do you handle in the probate and family court per year? How many divorces have you done? How many custody cases have you done? You want to make sure it's somebody that really has some solid background. And then after you've considered that, you might want to also think about what county the attorney practices in. Different probate court, there are different probate court judges in the different counties, and you want to make sure that the attorney you choose has experience working with the particular judges who might be handling your cases.
And how do you prepare for that first meeting with your attorney?
Well, there are a couple of things you might want to think about and bring to the meeting. First, it's a good idea to bring a listing of your assets. That would be whatever is in your name, whatever is in your spouse's name, and whatever is in both of your names. And you don't need to have the exact values, to the penny, not for the purposes of the first consultation. But if you have an idea of approximately how much each asset is worth, that would be very helpful. And the attorney will need to know what the specific assets are. For example, if you have IRAs, 401k plans, pensions, other retirement assets, you might have investment accounts, real estate, life insurance. It's a good idea to have a list of all of those and bring them to the meeting. And then if you can get your hands on the last couple of years of tax returns, that's also helpful. That will give the attorney an idea of how much income you have, what your spouse's income is. It will also, indicate what assets you have, what kind of interest, dividends you receive. So if you can get your hands on those tax returns, that's very helpful to bring. If you don't have them or you don't know where they are, you can give the attorney approximate valuations.
That's great. Can you tell us also about how child support works?
Well, in Massachusetts, we have the child support guidelines. Most recent revisions went into effect August 1st of 2013. And basically, child support is a mathematical calculation, and you can even go online and plug in the numbers, the factors, and get, an idea of what the child support will be. There are various factors that go into the calculation. The most important factor is the income of the spouse who will be paying child support. And in general, the spouse paying child support is the one who does not have custody of the child. So that's the biggest factor, is the non-custodial parent's income. Another big factor is the custodial parent's income. That's an offset against the amount of child support that's paid. And then other factors that go into the calculation are health insurance, dental insurance, vision insurance, and you need to know who pays these insurance costs, because the spouse who pays these costs get a credit in the child support calculation for the amount that they pay. Another factor that goes into the calculation is daycare costs. If there are children that go to daycare in the marriage, and the parent who pays the daycare cost gets a credit for how much is paid. In general, the custodial parent will pay the daycare costs, and the non-custodial and the custodial parent will get a credit for the amounts of daycare costs paid. In some cases, the non-custodial parent pays pays the daycare costs, but you just input that information into the calculation and you get the amount of support that has to be paid. And finally, the other factor that goes into the calculation is how many minor children there are that will be receiving support. Minor children as well as children that are less than 23 and in college. So if there's one child, the support will be a certain amount, but if there are 2 or 3 children, the support will be more, and you can input up to 5 children, and if you have 5 children, the support will be more. And if you have a child who is over 18 but is in college full-time and is less than 23, then that child is also counted for purposes of child support.
Caren, thank you so much for sharing your top 3 tips when considering divorce today.
Well, thank you for listening. And if you have any further questions, you can take a look at my website at southnatick.law.com, or you can take a look at my blog, which is Caren S. Law at blogspot.com. So thank you.